Miss Smart Muses. Welcome to Miss Smart Muses, where muse upon what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off. Well, today we're talking about all aspects. I guess I just need to start saying that. So far nothing has really ticked me off, not too much lately. But I'll tell you what, all this stuff about engagement and things that I was talking about in my previous stream, that's been really ticking me off. But that's not for tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about paranoia. Yes, paranoia precious rather, and what to do about it. Now, when we're talking about paranoia, we're not talking about it necessarily in its generic sense. We are talking about it in its borderline clinical sense. And the reason why I say borderline clinical sense, because I am not a psychiatrist, I am not a psychologist, nor do I play one on TV. And the kind of paranoia and paranoid we're going to talk about tonight is not really the kind that is part of a major psychological disease. Okay. The one that rhymes with phrenia. This is more where it's a problem, maybe a way you're thinking. And I should say, if you feel like you have problems with paranoia to the point where it's interfering with your life, then of course, please seek out your mental health professional and ask for guidance on it. But we're going to talk about paranoia. Like, and what exactly is paranoia? And what we can do about it, or perhaps what you can do about it if you're around a paranoid person. Hello, everyone coming in. Great to see you. Thank you for being here, and all of you that will be watching this on the replay. So let's look at some definitions. One of the definitions, this is a textbook dictionary definition: unjustified suspicion and mistrust of other people or their actions. Now, you can have mistrust and suspicion of other people for very, very good reasons, especially if you have a history with this person where certain pattern of behavior and you want to avoid them. We're not talking about healthy suspicion, the stranger danger that we should all have, or even in our social lives, not wanting to be incredibly annoyed by people. No, we are talking about unjustified, zero logic, no justification for it, and it's kind of paralyzing to individuals. Here's another definition, I'm sorry, this is the second part. You know how definitions I have like 1 and 2. This is the second one. The unwarranted or delusional belief that one is being persecuted, harassed, or betrayed. Betrayed, I tell you. You are being betrayed by others, occurring as part of a mental condition. And that's what I was saying, that we're borderline mental, but not like hugely having a mental condition, at least not what we're getting into tonight. But unwarranted, delusional belief that you're being persecuted, harassed, or betrayed. And you just can't say betrayed without putting oomph to it. Betrayal is a very, very strong word. To be honest, I don't think I've ever actually been betrayed in my life. Not on that level. Betrayal is a very strong word. Persecuted? Oh, yeah, at least my peeps have. And knock on wood, it doesn't get any farther than that. But of course, a delusional belief. I'm being persecuted. I'm being harassed. When maybe the individual is just questioning something you've done, or even rebuking you. Like, hey, what you did was kind of crummy. I'm being harassed. Or even someone being a jerk to you. I'm being harassed. That's not necessarily harassment. Harassment has a very specific definition. Persecuted. Probably not. Though the more I'm studying people that throw around these words, the more I'm realizing that they know that they're throwing around these words, but it will get the proper reaction from people of goodwill. Lots of people of goodwill out there who, when they see people throw these words around, they're like, oh my gosh, that's just horrible. This is serious. And I've also seen the flip side where if you're going to throw those words around, you better mean it. You better have the receipts. You better have, I don't know, the police report or something, because labeling someone that is libelous and slanderous and bad and can leave you open properly to legal action. But anyway, so those are the definitions of paranoia. Now, this is from a Psychology Today article. Here is my source. We're also like to give my little disclaimer that just because I am sourcing from a particular publication, a particular writer, or even a particular article does not mean that I wholeheartedly endorse everything that they're saying or what they're saying or even the person. I'm just saying that on this subject, I have found this to be scholarly sound, and this is where I'm getting it from. Because it would be dishonest for me to pretend this was from me. So here's some lists of things you can see if you're dealing with a paranoid person or even a paranoia within yourself. Though sometimes it's hard to find paranoia within yourself. But it's not like narcissism where it's like, oh my gosh, there's no way a person can really truly be self-reflect if you're a narcissist. In the case of paranoia, you can be like, oh, okay, I'm being paranoid, depending on the degree of what you're dealing with. This is why I'm saying if you really think that this is interfering with your life, you need to get some professional help. And I don't mean that in a mean way. So here we go. Without a sufficient basis for their feelings, they, paranoid people, suspect that others are trying to exploit, harm, or deceive them. We've all been exploited. I have. We've all been harmed. Oh, heck yes. We've all been deceived. Oh, hell yes. But with sufficient basis. When there is no sufficient basis, then you're dealing with paranoia. You know what I do have a sufficient basis for? It is good tea. That is good for your voice. Everyone, please look after your voice. Next, there is an overriding preoccupation with doubts about the loyalty or trustworthiness of their friends, which is not based on fact. I actually don't like the word loyal, and I can tell you why. Did the sound stop? It just did. Hopefully, I was yapping away. Oh my gosh. Let me see. Let me fix my sound. Hopefully, my amazing point about loyalty was present. If it was not, yeah, you hear it again. Yeah, I just saw that I had accidentally unplugged my microphone. Talk about a boomer moment. Well, for all of you, I hope you're back now. I don't think the sound was out too long. You left out about why you don't like loyalty. Oh, okay. Well, I don't like loyalty because it is so misused. So, for example, someone does something bad or has bad behavior, and they're like, "Well, you'll stay with me if you're loyal to me." Or let's just say you're with a band of brothers, all I don't know, fraternity brothers, something, or friends, and you've got some really crappy behavior, and a lot of people say, "I'm noping out." And you said, "And here's why." "Oh, no," and then I stopped. Yes. So, well, they all left me, but you're loyal to me. You'll stay with me because 'cause you're loyal. It's a form of manipulation. So that if you were thinking, "Well, actually, I wanted to jump boat too because this is kind of not okay," then you're being manipulated into staying in this kind of very toxic situation. So, and the word loyal is often misused for people who maybe don't have a lot of self-esteem, and they're like, "Yeah, you'll stand by me. You're loyal." All right. So often loyalty is used badly, in my humble opinion. I don't like the way it's used. Now, it is positive in the sense of, yeah, you should be loyal, like to your family, loyal to your country, but not loyal to a fault. I hate manipulation. And I'll tell you what, that's why I've been so cranky lately. I've been seeing a lot of this, and I think I need to get over it. The fact that people keep falling for it because everyone's a grown up. They know when that there's social media manipulation going on right now. And I just maybe need to let it go. I need to work on that. But I'm not paranoid about that. I'm just annoyed and cranky. Who's here? It is Biggles. Wait, he's still here. I like to think I'm loyal, but I tell people they're crazy and I'm noping out, as you put it. Yes. Yes. And you have to. But yeah, I found that it can be a manipulative tactic. It's the same coin as you betrayed me, I tell you. So, like, and it's like, because betrayal, especially if you're kind of a nice person, it's like, oh, that's not the kind of person I am. And you're not. But and they rely on that, the fact that you'll feel like crap by them saying that about you. It's like, no, you're not betraying anybody. The only time you're betraying someone is you're in a long-term relationship or you're married and you're fooling around with someone that's not your spouse. Okay, that's betrayal. Period. Never an excuse. Never an excuse. Another form of betrayal is a deep, dark secret that is for no one else to know, and someone else reveals it to people, especially people that you can't trust. Biggle says, rather, I am in a very toxic relationship with the Mets, though. Oh, yes, we're all in toxic relationships with our sports team. Yes. But that's a healthy one. If there's even such a thing as being in a healthy relationship like that, that would be it. Yeah. So that's why I'm cautious about the word loyalty, and it's used by manipulators, but it's also people that are paranoid, like they're not loyal, they're not trustworthy. And keyword, it's not based on fact. No evidence for it. No evidence. Paranoid people hesitate to confide or share with others due to an unjustified fear that whatever they share will be used against them. Keyword unjustified, because I'll tell you what, at this point, I don't think anyone should share anything with anybody. And I'm talking social media now. Be I always tell people, if you're in a group chat, you get out. It only takes one to screenshot and share it around. And even if you're not the person that said it, just the fact that you're in the group chat, you're going to be held responsible. But yeah, don't confide in anybody. Just don't. Uh, but if it's unjustified, yeah. Everyone's against me, so I'm not gonna share with anybody. I mean, I share with my loved ones, don't get me wrong, you just need to choose who you're sharing with. But it's like, no one, because I don't know, the UFOs coming down and aliens and my cats are really spying on me, though I actually think they are. Yeah, Biggles is referring to the voices in his head share with me all the time. Well, that's good. You can trust the voices in your head. Ha, they are loyal to you. Yes, they are precious. All right. Well, what's next? They cannot take people at face value and consistently assume that there is demeaning or belittling intent toward them from others or that something is a threat. Yeah, so this is a two-tiered. Obviously, you're putting me down. Oh, I swear, if I ever hear someone disrespected me ever again, that will be too soon. Or if I never hear it again, that'll be too soon. People aren't okay. Oh my gosh. It just makes you look weird and paranoid. But yeah, there's been this cult of I've been disrespected. No, you haven't. But always assuming that there is demeaning or belittling intent. Like someone says, "Hey, that's a great video you made." I'm keeping this to social media for these examples. And then you're like, "Oh, they're just, putting me down because they know that, I don't have as many subs as they do." Always assuming that they're demeaning, that you're being patronized and or a threat. "Good morning. What do you mean by it?" Or any action that you do is is threatening them in who knows what ways. My personal favorite in relation to social media is the amount of times people think that you're talking about them and you're like, I actually wasn't. I was like sometimes I'll be thinking about some book I read and that there is a lesson to be learned. Oh, you did it. You went there. You went there. Biggles went there. My channel is under attack. Yes. Though that is a form of manipulation. My channel's under attack, so subscribe. My channel's under attack, so send me a super chat. My channel's under attack, so watch. But yes, my channel is under attack. No, no one really wants to attack anyone's channel, even the big ones. They don't have time for that. Okay, there are some few examples, some few exceptions rather, because they've got issues far beyond the purview of what we're talking about today. You talk about me all the time, though. That is true. I do. Everything is about Biggles. It's so funny when Jay does it. Oh yeah, well, because he's doing it ironically. Ironically, he knows it's a joke. Yeah. And by the way, if the tea is bothering anyone, please let me know. But that is being silly. Yes, exactly, exactly. And though I'll bet you certain individuals who do the "my channel is under attack" thing probably don't appreciate that. People don't like their little tactics to be unmasked. So, oh, and that something is a threat. Yeah, constantly under threat. They hold grudges. Oh my gosh. Long past an event. Though that describes a lot of people, but I'm talking well beyond what is normal, and cannot forgive others' mistakes or perceived wrongdoing toward them. I swear if I had a dollar for every perceived wrongdoing I've done against somebody, I would be a gazillionaire. For the most part, people don't have the energy to wrong anybody. All right? Yeah, cannot forgive others' mistakes. See, that's the other thing. I've seen this too, where something is genuinely a mistake. No, it wasn't. You meant to do it. It's like, no, it really was a mistake. And perceived wrongdoing toward him, hell hath no fury. And someone that perceives someone is wronging them. Yeah, what's this here? All right. And just a reminder that I do have a running thing down there for the sources because I'm not pretending this is myself. They read the intent of harm or threat to their character. Oh, I just can't stand it. Intent of harm or threat to their character or reputation, my reputation by others without any justification that can be discerned by others. No one. Okay, here's a little trick, everyone. This is for people that are thinking relatively rationally. The only person who can harm your reputation is you. The only person. It's only really happened to me once, and it didn't work because there was no proof. If your reputation, though, is ruined, it's not what anyone else did. It's what you did, and only you. Tea culpa, tea maxima culpa. And yes, I was pointing the finger of judgment as I did that. Snow meant to do everything she is evil. Well, that's how the evil queen felt about her. And if you're wanting to know the context of what we say with Snow, we are referring to Snow as she is in Once Upon a Time. And no justification that can be discerned by others. So that's where if you have good friends, family members, loved ones, you can check with them. I have done this on a few occasions. Is it me? Is it just me? Do I have a reason to feel like this, or am I just being paranoid? Ah, speaking of which, paranoid. I said that without even thinking of the title. They carry suspicions about their partner's fidelity. Oh, yeah, this is where you will deal with it. Suspicions about their partner's fidelity, regardless of any lack of evidence or evidence to the contrary. And what really sucks about this kind of person, they tend to ruin the friendships of their partner. Like, there was once a situation 20, 30 years ago. So I think enough time's passed, and I'm not mentioning any names, where girls' night out. And I unfortunately didn't know that this person had a spouse, a husband, who was convinced she was cheating on him. And so he like stalked us, and made a big scene to do because he was sure he was going to catch her cheating. And it was just us having girls' night. So yeah, they will carry suspicions about their partner's fidelity regardless of any lack of evidence or evidence to the contrary. Or they'll say, "You were smiling at that guy." And maybe you were smiling, maybe you weren't, or, girl, whatever it is. It's not cool. So what to do about it? What do we do about this, precious? Well, if you are finding yourself in a situation where you are dealing with a paranoid person, this is some things to do about it. If you are yourself are paranoid, I guess I just keep saying, get yourself some help or talk to people that you trust. Assume the best. All right, so you're talking with someone that's kind of paranoid. Just assume the best about them. Assume the best about what they're saying. It's like, okay, maybe talk. How do I say this? Just don't leap automatically to, hey, you're, you know, being paranoid. So assume the best. Remember, some of these interpretations are mine. Listen to understand. So somebody is like all paranoid. They're coming to get me. They're coming to get me. Listen to them as they say so. Try to understand where they're coming from. Maybe even ask some questions like, okay, help me understand. I'll do that sometimes. Not just with paranoid people, but when I really am trying to get at where this person's perspective is coming from. And it will be, you know, help me understand. Okay, this is what they did. And then what did they say when that happened? And what did they do? So listen, try to understand where they're coming from. Even if you think it's crazy, you still want to know where they're coming from, don't you? I'm just looking at your comment, Bickles. He really does not like Snow White. And maybe you're dealing with paranoia when the person's like, I just know, I just know, I just know. And you're like, okay, well, um, sure. Begin in Switzerland. I've used this before with toxic people, with narcissists, with all sorts of situations, family members. Stay in Switzerland. I wouldn't just say begin in Switzerland. I would say stay there. So what does this mean? It means stay on neutral ground. I call it weather talk. It used to be polite British people would say, confine your comments to the weather. I think that was a line from Sense and Sensibility. Neutral topics. I used to say talk about a sports team, but people can get weird about that. Right. But I don't know. Hey, you've got a cute puppy. Wow, looks like we're going to get rain. Hey, I like this kind of tea. I don't know. Whatever it is, something that is neutral, something that won't trigger the paranoia. And of course, this is if you're with somebody that you can't avoid them. I always say if you can, avoid all people that got issues. Life is way too short to deal with people that are, you know, unpleasant and crazy. I have in the past gotten to a point where I will try to stay. This is where you're at the level of friendship, but you can only help someone so far. And then you just finally say, hey, I can't do anymore. Either you're going to choose to, well, first of all, change or get yourself to a doctor, get yourself to a psychologist, because I can't do it. I can't do it. But stay in Switzerland. Be transparent. Don't try to lie to a paranoid person because guess what? They're going to figure it out. Be very straightforward. and allow them to ask you questions. This is just good advice in general. I think everyone should be transparent, unless it is a situation where you cannot, or it's information that you should not be speaking of. Okay, other than that, I think it's okay. But yeah, just in general, that is something that's good for you. So be transparent. I've been saying this for a while, but yeah, encourage reaching out to supports. There are some people out there that will really take it the wrong way if you're like, maybe you should see a professional. And I get it. What, you think I'm crazy? It's like, well, yes, I actually kind of do, but it can't hurt. But and you know the person better than anyone else. You will know how to say it or how not to say it. Or even be like, hey, maybe, you know, it doesn't even necessarily mean professional supports. How about other friends, other family, a clergyman, if that's appropriate, or even the GP. Sometimes people will be like, "I'm not crazy," and it's like, "Okay, well, maybe talk to your to the GP about it." Yeah, because here's the thing: sometimes people of goodwill will think they can be the savior of everyone, and I'm going to say something really horrible. You can't. You cannot. Mm. And it doesn't make you an a-hole to walk away. Just a second. I need to take a sip of tea. I muted myself that time. It's okay to walk away unless you are dealing with like a dependent, like, how do I say this? A child of yours, a dependent child, a spouse, an elderly parent. Okay, yes, you can't really walk away. Though there may be certain circumstances, disclaimer, where you need to for your safety. Always safety, if there's any violence and all that. That's a whole other different ball game. But this might sound really, really horrible. I said it was gonna be horrible, I'm gonna say it again. There was a situation where someone's like, "Well, don't you think that you should be supportive?" And I said, "No." And the person was like, "You hear Miss Catholic and all this saying this," and it's like, "Listen, I will be as supportive as I am capable of. I will support with prayer. I will support with, I don't know, could you get me, you know, I'm going to McDonald's and hey, do you want a Diet Coke or something? Okay, that's the kind of support. But other than that, a person is not owed my time and my resources, especially if they are refusing to help themselves. God helps them that helps themselves. And unless you are like a mandatory reporter or something. Well, of course, there are certain circumstances where you need to do this, but no one is owed. Like, I'm gonna make you my unpaid shrink. No, you can't. It's like, I will be your friend, but I will not be your shrink. You want a shrink? You get a shrink. You won't help yourself. You won't reach out. I can't help you then with that. And if the person refuses to change, that person is not owed my time or my company, especially if they're hurting me. hurting emotionally, lying about me. I don't know, whatever it is. It's like, no, you are not owed that from me or anyone else out there. So sadly, if you are dealing with a paranoid person, you can go through all these things, like I said, especially if it's a loved one. But if you do not have a connection and it becomes such that, like, you can't even be out in public with them or something without them accusing you of stealing or lying or something, it's like, you just got to cut off that situation. Got to cut off that relationship, that friendship. And if the person is getting help, though, of course, that is something that you want to encourage. Like, "Hey, I got a problem. I'm gonna start going to therapy." This is very similar to someone with an addiction. I was talking about a little bit about this with the 12 steps. If someone's in recovery, if they're going to AA, that's the time where you definitely support them. That's why I get so mad at TV shows. The way they sometimes show it's like, "Someone's going to AA, that's something that's horrible." It's like, "No, no, that's something that's good." 'Cause that means someone's doing something about their problem with drinking. That's not when you should be worried, okay? And it's the same thing. If someone is getting help, if someone is doing therapy and all that, well, then, yeah, that might be a time where you might wanna meet meet them halfway, but you also just make the boundaries clear. I am not your doctor, I'm not your shrink, I'm not your wife, I'm not your husband, I'm not that. I am just here to be your friend. Wow, so that's some paranoia for the evening. I thank you, Biggles, for keeping me company. Aren't you? If you're still here, let me know what's going on out in Vegas because this is also general musing. So I will can and open it up for a little bit of a free for all if you want to share. I think it might be over. I don't know. I don't know if it goes on over the weekend or not. I I don't know. I would just be playing blackjack the whole time if I were out there. But I've been watching Fallout and I've been enjoying it. There will be a Fallout live stream when I am done to discuss it. So if people have some things they want to say to judge me for liking it so far, let me know because I am something of a normie and I've played a little bit of the game. But so far, it seems all right. I see what they've changed. I don't think it's very heinous or anything. So I'm on episode 2 right now of that. Tomorrow, I'm planning on doing another one of my history streams because, gosh darn it, I enjoyed it. I did my 1066 last last week rather, to celebrate 1,066 subscribers. And so we talked about the Battle of Hastings, William the Conqueror, and then I'm like, dang, now it, once you go into William the Second and Henry the Second, and then you've got the whole plot of the House of the Dragons right there because Queen Matilda and him swearing to make everyone the her loyalty to her since she is the heir that he's chosen because there's no male heir, all of that stuff. It's so much fun. So tomorrow I'm going to be doing William the Second and Henry the First, leading up into what's called the Anarchy, aka the House of the Dance of Dragons. So, well, look who's here. It is Meteor Advocate Timon. Thank you for being here. Love Paranoid Black Sabbath classic. Oh, interesting. Interesting. I should know more of my heavy metal and stuff. But yeah, we're just talking about people that are paranoid and how sometimes you just got to stay away from them, especially if what they're doing is mentally or God forbid physically abusive to you, but always accusing you of conspiring, betraying, you're not being loyal, all these kinds of things. No one wants to deal with that. And if you are someone that feels like you are allowing paranoia to interfere with your quality of life, it is actually your responsibility to reach out and get help. You need to do that almost as an act of charity. Keyword if it's interfering with your life or relationships. But anyway, so we were just talking a little bit about what's coming up. I also have nights to remember. I'm so excited. April 14th, two things happened that were pretty big, but several years, 50, 60 years apart. Give you a hint, one of them rhymes with Titanic and the other rhymes with Lincoln's last moments on Earth. They both happened on April 14th. So I'm planning to do a live stream about that. I've already said about my Fortnite. Oh my gosh, how could I get Fallout and Fortnite confused? My Fallout live stream. Also more about what I'm reading. I'm gonna be on Sporkings talking about Fire and Blood. Speaking of House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones. That's what we're gonna be talking about. We're gonna be reading through, I think it's never mind which chapters, but if you like House of the Dragon, we're going through the source material for that. Also, I've got some clips from some of my Lord of the Rings things, got some letters, as well as a review, hopefully, of the new Savage Sword of Conan, which everyone should be buying. Anyone says that they don't want woke comics, well, you should be buying the hell out of this series. It is amazing. So that's all for the evening. I'm actually going to go back to watching Fallout episode 2. So thank you, Biggles, again for keeping me company. Thank you, Timon, for popping in. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great day. And be certain to not be paranoid.